Good. Thanks a lot for giving me the stage. And the next session we have is about creating your first virtual healthcare assistant with Azure Health Bots. So I welcome Christina. Thanks a lot, Christina, for joining.
Hello, thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, and really looking forward to this particular session. I'm really interested in knowing how we, go ahead with creating a virtual healthcare assistant. But before that, would you like to tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, of course. So my name is Christina Pardali. I'm from Greece, and I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. I'm really excited to hosting workshops and events, and with another team of ambassadors, we are working on
Mhm.
creating a learning path about the Azure Health Bot. So I'm really happy to present it here today.
Oh,
Cool.
sounds good.
Yep, really looking forward to it. And yeah, let's get started. The stage is yours.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, welcome to my session about how you can create your first virtual assistant assistant with Azure HealthBot. These are just what I just told you about, and let's get started. So, first, we'll have an introduction, and the first thing we should know is what is a bot. So, bots are programmed to perform some specific repetitive tasks without needing any human input or any supervision in order to perform their functions. And I'm sure that you have seen bots in your everyday life when you go to some websites. So, for example, in this slide, I have two screenshots from messages I got in some websites from their healthcare, from their assistants. So, in the left, you can see the digital assistant of Vodafone, for example. So, when you go to a website, there is a message coming up, and you can talk with a bot, you can ask some questions and interact with it. And the same is also with a right picture. But today we're going to talk about a specific type of bot, which is the health bot. So the health bot service is a cloud platform that gives developers the chance in healthcare organizations to build their own AI-powered virtual health assistant. And specifically, who can use it? So when I started learning about Azure Health Bot, I was thinking, okay, so we are in the healthcare section, but who can use it? So in this slide, I have just three examples of companies or organizations that can use this type of bot. So maybe they are companies that provide health insurance, or maybe they are telemedicine providers, or even some pharmaceutical companies, or even some hospitals. So, for example, all these companies or organizations may have an app on Android or iOS, and they can integrate a bot so that the users can ask some questions and learn more about what the company offers. And another important thing is that the Azure HubSpot service has a lot of benefits. And the most important thing is that it offers an extensible management portal, which we will see a little bit later. And there are a lot of configuration options that are really specific about the healthcare industry. Also, the HealthBot service comes with a built-in triage and symptom checker, so you don't have to start from scratch. You have some things already built in there for you, and that's why I think that this service is a great starting point for any beginner. You don't have to know everything about AI or how you should structure the whole bot. And all of this is because the Azure HubSpot service has integration with language understanding intelligence service. If you know about Azure, this is Louis, and we will talk about it a little bit later. And some more benefits, as you can see here, are the very customization options. You can also connect with your information systems, which is really important for organizations that start building their own bots so that they can connect with their databases and their own systems. And of course, the last thing is that you can integrate your bot in other systems such as websites, chat channels, or any digital personal assistant. So as I mentioned before, there is integration with LUIS. So what is language understanding? Just a short mention here, that LUIS is an AI service that applies custom machine learning algorithms to a text that a user sends to the bot in order to predict the overall meaning, and in this way pull out some information about what the user wants or make a sentiment analysis and try to understand what the user really needs. And of course, I want to mention here that maybe, as you will see later, the Azure HealthBot service, we see an automated platform. We see that we can create our own custom scenarios with a drag and drop platform, but everything that runs behind it is based on AI and machine learning algorithms. Another thing I want to mention here is the part of security and privacy, because when we talk about HealthBot, we talk about healthcare data, which are really sensitive, and all organizations should protect this data because they're personal, and this is what they have to do. And there are some certifications that all organizations should follow, and Microsoft offers us a service that has all these certifications, and the data are protected. Moving on to this slide, I want to mention here that there are already a lot of organizations that actually use the Azure HealthBot service, and one of them is Primera Blue Cross, who has already implemented their own digital personal assistant with a name Scoot. And in this way, the customers can check their claim status, they can discover what are the health plans provided by this organization, and talk in a more interactive way with the organization. So right now we are going to move into our first demo about how you can start creating your first HealthBot in the Azure portal. So let's go to the Azure portal. Here I am in my first screen. Azure is a pay-as-you-go service. If you're a student, you can have a free Azure account. And this is the portal where you start creating your resource. And the first thing I want to do is create a resource about Azure HealthBot. So I will just go to the search bar and write Azure HealthBot so that I can pick this service. And here I can see everything that I have ready. So I can create new. So I click on new, and I will create a new resource about the Azure HealthBot service. So what I have to put here first is a subscription. You choose the subscription with which you have an account, and then you have to select a resource group, because in Azure, every time you create a resource, this resource has to belong in a resource group. So I have one ready, but if you don't have a resource group ready, you can just create a new one. The only thing required is a name, so it's not something difficult. Then we have to put a name. So for example, I can type HealthBot 2, okay? And then we have to select a region. So every time you create a resource, you have to select a region where these applications will run. And until now, the HealthBot service is available in 2 regions, East, West, and West Europe. I'm in Greece, so I will select West Europe. And the last thing we have to select before we move on is the plan. So there are 2 options here. The first one is free, there is no cost, and you can have a maximum of 3,000 messages and 200 MSUs per month. And if you can select, of course, the standard plan, which has a cost of $500 per month. And of course, you have more messages and more MSUs. For our presentation, for our session, we select the free plan. It's more than enough. So we can click on review and create. There is some validation path. Here we can see the terms, and we can click on create. We don't have to wait for that. I have one bot already there. Okay, so we can go to the bot I have created. And here you can see all of the details you have written. And here you can see the plan you have selected. We have selected the free plan. And the most important thing here is the link to the management portal. So if you click on that, you go to the management portal where you can start experimenting and actually building your bot. There are a lot of categories here. We are going back to the presentation, and we will come back in a little bit. Okay, so here I just have some screenshots from what we just saw. And now we're going to talk about the different types of scenarios. So first of all, what is a scenario? Scenarios are some conversational flows that are already in the bot. They are already programmed there for the user. So when a scenario is triggered by the bot, the user answers some questions, and then the scenario is complete. In the Azure HealthBot service, we have 2 different types of scenarios. We have the built-in scenarios and the custom scenarios. Built-in scenarios are already there for you. They are available out of the box to the end users, and they are divided into three main categories. First of all, we have the triage or symptom checker, where, for example, you can ask the bot about your symptoms. You can say, I have a fever, and then the bot will try to set you some questions, and in this way, give you some advice. And yeah, the next type of building scenario can provide you some information about conditions and symptoms. You can ask about what is diabetes or what is cancer, and then some information will be given to you. And the last one is about drugs and medication. The same way, you can ask some information about some specific drugs, and the bot will give you some information about that. Except from the building scenarios, we also have the custom scenarios, where you can build the bot that you really want to build. There is a designer, as you can see this picture. I will not have time to go deep into that, but this is the drag and drop platform, which I mentioned before. And you can drag and drop some elements and create a scenario that is fully functional. And of course, in the terms of custom scenarios, we have the scenario templates, which are some custom scenarios already built for you, and you can start building them. They are templates for some popular healthcare use cases, and it's also a great starting point if you are a beginner. So now we are going back to the platform so that we can explain a little bit more about what are our capabilities here. So the first thing are the scenarios. Here you will see all the scenarios that you have created. The next thing we can see is the template catalog. As I told you, there are some scenario templates that you can start using right away. Here you can see them. For example, there are a lot of templates about COVID-19 because with all of this happening, a lot of organizations started using Azure HealthBot service specifically for COVID-19 and their needs. The next thing is language. So here we will see the language models that are already there and built in for us. We can see which are active, we can deactivate them, or we can create new models in order to add the functionality that we want. We also have localization because we can use the bot in different languages. And going to the next one, we have configuration. So here you see all the things that we mentioned about building scenarios. So for example, the triage and symptom checking takes all the information for Informatica, which is an organization, and all the information that the bot gives you, they are true and they are coming from a great source of information. And here you can see anything that the bot answers, and you can change that because, as I told you in the beginning, you can customize everything. So you can check what the bot says with the built-in scenarios, and if you don't like something, you can come in this platform and you can change, for example, what are the messages sent by the bot. And the same is about medical information. We also have compliance because, as we mentioned before, in terms of privacy and security, it's a really important sector. And here you can also see all of that. We also have integration. And from here, I want to show you the tab with the channels because we can integrate our bot in different channels. And some of them you can see here, WebChat, Teams, Facebook, Telegram. There are a lot of options. We also have analytics. You can see some reports and get some insights about how the users interact with your bot, and in this way understand what you can change or what are the improvements you can make. And another thing here are the users, where you see the users of the management portal, because, for example, when you are in an organization, a lot of people from the IT department may have access to that so that they can make changes. And the last thing are resources. These are the images files that are used by the scenarios. So right now, I want to show you that here you have the web chat. So as I told you, there are some built-in scenarios. So when you create a resource, you can start experimenting. You can start talking with the bot and see what are the answers you are getting. So for example, we can say hello and see what the bot answers. So the bot says, hi, how can I help? We can start and type, for example, I have a fever. so that we can check the first thing that is about symptom checking. So when we type, I have a fever, which is a symptom, the bot says that our symptoms have been registered, and then it starts asking us some questions. So we have to specify our sex or our age, and there are a lot of questions that come up after that. We don't have enough time to explain it, but I want to show you that you have a bot ready, and you don't have to start from zero. And we can type exit so that we can stop this conversation about the symptom checking. And I want to show you that you can type the word help. When you type the word help in the web chat, you can see some words that you can use when you communicate with the bot. So for example, you can type cancel to stop your conversation. You can see the terms. You can give feedback to the IT department on how you see the bot, what you can improve. And the most important things are the last three sentences. So you can ask, what do you know? And then the bot actually says, what it remembers about you. And you can also see with word log, what are your previous interactions with the bot. And in this way, check the security and privacy, because as we said, everything is transparent and you should know what the bot knows about you. And of course, in case you don't want the bot to remember anything about you, you can type forget me and all of your data will be deleted. So this is just a short introduction to how you can interact with the bot. And the last thing I want to show you is about the custom scenarios we mentioned before. So here I have created already a custom scenario. I just want to show you the platform. We can click on that, and then we will go to the designer. And here is the one I mentioned before, where you just drag and drop all these elements in this platform, and you don't have to write a lot of code. Of course, there are some options and there are some elements that you can write code, but it's a really great starting point for any beginner to understand how a bot works, or how you can actually write the dialogue that the bot will have with the user. And here you can check it. So you can click save, and then you can click on run so that you can check the scenario. And in the right, you can see that the conversation has started. And every time you interact with the bot, you also see here in which part exactly of the scenario you are at, so that you can correct some things and check the whole functionality of it. As I told you, we don't have enough time to explain everything here. I just want you to see how it works. Getting back to the presentation, here are some resources that you can use if you want to start experimenting. So first of all, we have the Azure HealthBot documentation. Everything there is really clear. You can see every part of the platform. And of course, as I told you in the beginning, there's a learning path that comes about Azure HealthBot. You will see it soon. And also, if you want to dive into language understanding, you can go to luis.ai/home if you want to learn more. And here, I also have the link for my GitHub repo in case you want to see the presentation from today. Thank you very much, and we can see some of your questions if you have.
Thanks a lot, Christina, for the amazing presentation. I personally learned a lot, and we have like a few questions over here. But for all the students who are joining, I just want to share that the speaker won't be like joining the not all speakers will be joining the Global AI Cafe maybe. So if you have any questions for this particular chat, you can for this particular session, you can send your questions in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer those. And I also want to remind you all of the Cloud Skills Challenge if you're just joining with us. So the Cloud Skills Challenge, you can see the link for that in the top of the website, and after that you can just contribute, and there are so many opportunities for you to learn and get some vouchers and stuff, so which is also going to be available after the conference for the next 48 hours. So yeah, thanks a lot for everyone. And we have a question over here, which is the first question we have, Christina, is how can a bot created on Azure be integrated into web apps or mobile apps?
You can integrate it through the channels, as I showed a little bit before, in Facebook or any other apps you have.
Okay, cool. And this is a question like this is a question that I have, which is so we're talking about bots, right? I have never like worked with a health bot. I've made chat applications and stuff. So what would you suggest is like the main difference when we're talking about a health bot versus an ordinary chat bot?
Okay, yes. So I think the most important thing is about the healthcare configurations. Because as I mentioned, we are dealing with healthcare data, which are more sensitive. So there are some specific protocols that should be followed. And it's really useful when you create a platform that already follows these protocols about the data, and you know that everything is secure. So it's really important for organizations that start using that so that they are fully aware of the regulations and what they should follow. I think that's the main difference. And of course, the platform is better for a beginner because you can see some scenarios already there for healthcare specific options for COVID-19, for example. You don't have to start thinking everything from zero.
Most definitely. And we have a question over here, which is, so we're talking about like, you talked about like custom models and custom scenarios. So any particular, like, I know like it depends on person to person, but in general, how long would it take to create a particular custom scenario? And what would you suggest? Yeah, and a follow-up can be like, how much would you suggest is like the learning curve, which is something I believe many students might be wondering for that particular.
So let's take it from the beginning. When you start in the platform, first you can explore the building scenarios, which are really helpful to see how it works, or you can import some templates so that you can see what are the specific elements they use in order to create something. And then if you want to create a custom scenario, it totally depends on you, because you can make it as complex as you want. And I cannot say the exact time you may need, but just for example, in 2 days, you can have a functional bot that can answer some questions and give you the information you want.
Cool. Thanks a lot for sharing. And we are getting a lot of questions regarding how to actually get started with cloud and all these things. So yeah, you can answer that particular question. But a thing that I would like to mention, I like mentioned in briefly right now, which is that you can learn about cloud using Microsoft Learn, and you can use your cloud skills to take part in the Cloud Skills Challenge and learn at the same time. So maybe you can give your thoughts on this as well, like learning while contributing and learning while making projects, taking part in these challenges. So you can get like for students who are watching, you can get like the students can get Azure for free. The links have been sent in the chat. You can use the GitHub Education Pack. But Christina, what do you think about this particular approach?
Yes, of course. And I think that you should also apply to become a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. I think it's a great experience to start using Azure, make some workshops. You also know Canal, that it's a great experience. So, and of course, it's important to participate in the Cloud Skills Challenge, because you can learn more about the cloud. You can take some certifications, which are also really important.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's true. We have a lot of amazing Microsoft Learn student ambassadors, just like Christina joining the conference today. So yeah, would you like to share what has been like your highlight when talking about Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors program?
Okay, so my best experience of the program is when I talked about cloud security with one of the cloud advocates in the Learn TV. It was a great experience because I got to collaborate with a Microsoft employee, make a presentation together, and it was a really stressful experience in the beginning. But after that, I learned more about the topic, which was cloud security, and also how to present and how to be efficient on presentations. So it was the highlight for me.
Yeah, most definitely. And I can totally relate with that. It's like the community and the learning experience and the mentorship you get is just truly amazing. Alrighty, well, thanks a lot, everyone, thanks a lot for joining this particular session. We'll be starting with our next session in just 5 minutes. And Christina, I want to thank you again. Thanks a lot
Thank you
for
very much.
sharing, and thanks a lot for sharing all the links to the resources as well. That was pretty useful. And yeah, for students who are asking, these sessions are recorded, and you can watch those later live as well, later on the same website as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.